Welcome back to Footnotes, the podcast where we dive deep into stories, philosophies, and mindsets of runners who live and breathe the sport. It's 2025, and with the new year comes a brand new season. Kicking things off, I'm excited to have on a special guest, Noah Jacobs. From his days as a standout high school runner in Michigan to competing at the collegiate level, Noah has built a name for himself in the world of distance running. Today we'll talk training, competition, and how you can improve your mentality in the sport. I hope you enjoy my conversation with my good friend, Noah Jacobs. So Noah, stoked to have you on the podcast today. Glad we could set this up. I think it's cool to see how our paths crossed in high school, where we competed against each other. And now over the years, we've formed a lasting friendship that grew through our shared love for the sport. And it's kind of crazy now, years later, we're hopping on another podcast together.
Yeah. No, I'm back into my podcast era right now, I guess. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be on, and I would consider you a good friend, somebody I'm able to get some miles with and bounce ideas off of and see somebody passionate about the sport who continues trying not just to better himself, but better the people in the community around him. So I'm excited to get to lend a few of my thoughts and just to spend a few minutes on a call with you, Dill.
I appreciate that, man. So let's jump right into some Q&A. I'm sure that moving to Wisconsin and joining the Badgers must have been a significant change from high school. Noah, how did you adapt to the collegiate running environment and the higher level of competition?
Yeah, it was definitely a big change going over to Madison and getting to train with a bunch of people was probably the biggest difference. I really enjoyed it, the ability to run with a bunch of guys and people that not only were of similar goals, but of similar abilities too, people that would push you to be better every day. Honestly, I don't think that I adapted that well because it's just such a different approach. You start running a lot higher mileage, you start pushing your body in different ways, and you never want to feel like you let the people around you down, whether that be your coaches or your teammates. So sometimes it's hard to gauge when you start running in a level like that. You never want to be the guy that backs out of a workout or the person that says like, oh no, maybe I need to ask this question. I should listen to my body more. I feel like I might be close to that red line. You kind of want to see what you have, what you can do. And you never want to feel like you're asking for a way out. And I think just the way my body had kind of developed and trying to run some of that higher mileage, I should have tried to listen to my body a little bit more and found a different plan, because what had worked for a lot of other individuals wasn't as well catered to me. I just wanted to listen to whatever the coaches had said and attack it and get after it. And by the time you realize you're a little bit nicked up or something is troubling, that it's almost too late. It's so hard to try and continue running high mileage and quality workouts and getting yourself into the best shape of your life if you're trying to constantly battle your way back from something, if you're trying to climb out of that hole. So I think personally, I really adapted to like the team culture and enjoying running just as much, if not more, when I was there. But physically, I didn't allow myself to adapt into the training probably as slowly as I should have. I think a combination of the intensity and, never wanting to feel like you were actually burned out or that you might have been pushing it too far. You never want to accept that. And that was something I wish if I would have gone back, I could have maybe seen and said like, wow, I feel like I'm working really hard to get some of the stuff done. I was just having so much fun doing it. And I didn't want to let anybody down. And really, you're not letting anybody down trying to hold back on something. You just need to almost get lucky and find that sweet spot for what works for you individually, because what works for the guy to your left, and he might run the same times, doesn't work for the guy to your right that runs the same times as you too. So it can be very interesting and trying to communicate that. So I think I adapted okay, but I think I could have done a lot different right when I had gotten over there.
And I appreciate that honesty and your perspective too. I think looking back, regardless of what each of us might be struggling with, there's always something that we can learn and grow from. And that leads me into my next question too. How has running continued to shape your identity or contribute to your own personal growth?
Yeah, I think running is just so important in my life as a structure builder and a routine builder. It's something that can kind of keep you level and grounded. I liked what you had shared on social media recently, saying that running can kind of block out all the noise. Sometimes it allows you to think deeper about something or just kind of go off of different trains of thought that get you through multiple miles of a run. And sometimes it allows you to just block out any stress from a day, whether that be work related, testing related, just in your life in general, you can just kind of tone it all out and know that those miles are going to be there for you. So I think it's been a good form of structure, and another area where I can still continue to set goals that might not be, I want to try and break 4. I want to be, scoring at Big Ten championships, something along those lines. But hey, I want to run my first marathon, and I want to use running as a tool to allow me to go different cool places. Like I'm going to do the Boston Marathon this year and the Chicago Marathon. And those are things that I'm kind of able to do because of running and get to experience some of that, the community and culture around that. So to try and let running continue to help create some structure in my life, getting up in the morning, trying to get workouts in, staying in shape, and to allow it to take me places that you're not going to get to experience some of those things otherwise. You can still travel and do different things, but to kind of have the ability to travel and say like, yep, and I'm going to run a marathon when I go out here, like it gives you that reason, that something to push for. It makes it easier too to motivate yourself every day to know I'm going to go and run in Boston, or I'm going to have a race at some point for GLR or whatever it is. That makes it easier to get out the door too. So it all works together. I think it just adds that structure outside of work, and you can do it by yourself and you can do it with other people. So it's a very unique and nice thing that you don't have to have a gym. You don't have to have something so firm all the time. You just have to have the desire to start a run and see how far you can take any given day. And I'm still enjoying it, and hopefully continuing to enjoy it for as long as I can.
Really great answer, man. I love that answer. I couldn't agree more. I think, like you said, it's not something that you need a ton of equipment to do. It's something where it's just you and yourself out there. Every day you're competing against yourself, or you might be running with other people, running with teammates. So it's just great that you can get out the door and have that access to the sport immediately. So as an athlete, how do you prioritize wellness in your daily routine? Are there any specific habits or practices that contribute to your overall well-being?
I think having almost like rewards based around some of the running and things that you can do, and kind of rewarding yourself when you do something good. So even whether that be, I use coffee a lot. I really enjoy drinking coffee with people, whether that be you meet for a long run with Jordan Sowash and Dylan Haviland, and afterwards you get a coffee and you just chat it up for 30 minutes, or knowing that when you finish a run and it's the winter, you can get back to your house and you can make yourself a coffee while you kind of gear up and get ready for your day at work. So I just think kind of allowing yourself to celebrate little victories, even, maybe you have a bad run, like you still got yourself out the door, you still did something that day, maybe something didn't go as well as you want. Just trying to lightly celebrate yourself and not do too much of comparison. You always want to make yourself better, but you can't win a championship every single day. And sometimes, winning a championship is just going and doing something at all related to what you're doing for work, what you're doing in relationships with your lifestyle, with running, which doesn't really matter. So I just try to stay positive and remind myself that I'm doing the little things right, and think good things are going to come. And that I try to do that in all aspects of my life.
So with that, you said, you can't always just hit your expectations. Sometimes the goals that you set for yourself just aren't there, and you have to be okay with that. You have to learn how to adjust, how to adapt. A lot of it comes with balancing the demands that you put on yourself, that others might put on you, or that you just think life throws at you. Life is a very demanding thing. So how do you maintain that mental resilience during those times of demand, especially during more intense periods of training or just training in general for competition?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to use that, because sometimes it's easy to compare and think, man, I saw somebody put this on Strava and they did 20 miles at whatever pace, and the middle 10, they were doing kind of tempo type work, and that's crazy. I'm not doing that. Maybe I could be doing more. And then you'll also just tell somebody, hey, I went for a 6-mile run today, and they're like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you could possibly run 6 miles. That's the craziest thing in the world. And you're thinking like, this is just day in and day out. So I think allowing yourself to kind of slowly move into things, it's really easy to look at if you were to say, yep, I'm going to do a 2-hour long run today in preparation for a marathon, or yep, this is a big workout for me in prep for championship season for a mile or a 5K or whatever it is. When you look at some of those sessions and you go like, man, this is some scary stuff. We're doing 3x400 at mile pace, and then like tempo you're like, I've got to be ready to go. I've got to be ready to get after some of this. And you can almost psych yourself out of it. So just kind of allowing yourself to take it 1 mile at a time or one rep at a time and get into it, and know that you can always adapt and adjust, especially in a position where I am, not as a college athlete, but when you're just training for yourself and still goals that you've set, you can find ways to adapt training. Some days you feel really good and you think, I'm going to add something else, I'll do a little bit more, or I can put a little spiciness in my long run. Or some weeks you're like, man, my legs are just dead. I've had a hard week at work. The weather's been bad. I haven't been sleeping well. So trying to allow yourself to adapt. But that becomes tough when you make that the constant of, I'm going to adapt and I'll push it back to a different time. Because sometimes you have to suck it up and just say, I'm going to take this one to the chops. Like, I know this workout or this long run isn't going to be as fun as I wanted it to, but like, that's going to make me better in the long run too. So there's a fine line to try and do all of that, but it's to kind of know and trust that you know what you're doing for yourself, and you can read when you can push that little bit extra and when you sometimes need to pull back.
It's finding that balance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's something we really need to look into in this sport, is finding balance. I know it's really common to overtrain. Sometimes it's really common to undertrain, but finding that sweet spot that works for you, both in terms of mentality and physicality, is so important, just to have our lives go, how do I want to phrase this? Kind of to make a happy human being, to make the most out of life. I feel like we really have to have balance, and that's something that running just offers us. We learn how to find that, and then we get to carry that from a sports aspect into our daily lives.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important things I've learned when you get out of college, especially because sometimes, you're up there to do a job. It's part of a business if you're running for a high school team or a college team, but you still have to find happiness day in and day out. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, it just makes it impossible. And that's not to say that every single day is going to be the world's greatest day. Like, you feel so much better when you leave compared to when you started. But if you're not able to kind of absorb some of the process and enjoy it for yourself, and want to show up and want to continue to make yourself better, or want to do something, sometimes you just have to take a step back and reevaluate, and or allow yourself a little bit of time for breathing room. It's really easy to get overwhelmed and think like, man, if this doesn't go right today and I can't get this and this done, like, it's not going to be right. So being able to kind of live with that, like I take plenty of days off. I adjust what day off I'm taking each week, sometimes depending on weather or sickness or anything that pops up, trying to be able to adapt and adjust. But I think it's kind of interesting, like, you see a guy like Joost Platink in Ann Arbor who's running and run well. He just ran at the Olympic trials for the marathon. And, he kind of jokes, but he kind of says, like, I go on vibes-based training, and his is a lot more structured than me. But if you're having fun, you can do a whole lot more than when you're forcing yourself to show up every day, and every day is tougher. So if you can find that happiness balance, it's going to make your physical output, your mental output, everything is going to be a lot better in your life if you're able to enjoy little victories and enjoy parts of what you're doing. Which is why, for me, like, when I do get to run with guys like my brother Ben, if I'm in town, or you or Jordan when you guys are back from college breaks, like, it just makes it so much easier to show up. It's just that level of happiness, because normally I'm just out chugging along some miles by myself, but when you get to know you're having a conversation and you're going to be so happy that you got to do that, it just makes getting up earlier or showing up to get some miles and feel so much more effortless.
And that's such an interesting part of your journey to the post-collegiate life, and still having that love for running, finding it, and just appreciating every aspect of the sport still. After your collegiate running career at Wisconsin, how has the transition been to the post-college life?
It's been really good. You have to shift a lot of priorities in what you're doing. For me, trying to focus and trying to grow in like small town business. I work with my dad at an insurance agency that he owns, and trying to absorb and learn things and know that in the future, that's one of the most important things I can have, because it'll allow me to have time and know and want to do different things, and be able to take different trips and hopefully spend more time with a family that I might have one day and do different things that way. But you still have to have this like wide open door of opportunity for when I came out of college. It was like, well, I'm still in pretty good shape. I don't really know what I want to do with it, but I don't want to just stop running. That doesn't seem like something that would make me happy. So take a little bit of time, kind of easy, and figure it out, and do a few local 5Ks and meet up with some different people and get some runs in, and just kind of find opportunities that excite you and get you going. And as things kind of transitioned on, it became apparent, like, you know what? I think this is a good opportunity for me to try and like qualify and run the Boston Marathon. And then after that, it was like, well, let's try and hit all the American majors if we can. So I'm going to do Boston, Chicago, and hopefully New York within the next 2 years. And just to be able to experience that with different people. So just finding kind of that joy and that drive post-collegiately was one of the things I really wanted to do. And I think I've been able to find it, and it's been very, very different in all the ways I've done it, whether it's been trying to do more speed work and having opportunities to run with the high school teams more, or get in a college mile field. I ran a college mile race. Or if it's just, hey, this is what's easiest, is for me to get more miles in by myself and not really have to worry about pace work and different stuff that way. And being able to run marathons is something that I can still do at a high level without worrying about the stopwatch as much, rather just using a little bit more effort and getting time on feet and different things that way. So it's been very, very adaptive the whole time, but it was something that I always knew I wanted to keep running. I wanted to stay in good shape. I wanted to use that as a tool to be around people and to be staying fit, because I was going to continue to work out one way or another. But if you're not happy doing what you're doing, working out. And I realized pretty quickly with a little bit of time away from it that I definitely wanted to continue running.
And I love how adaptive you are towards the sport and in the sport too, man. You're able to find that fuel in the community of people around you. And I think that's just so awesome. I think that's a passion that you and I both share. We can just really take what we can from the love of others and from that community, and then we can put that into our work, and that motivates us no matter what kind of adversary we might be up against during the day. So I just think that's a really cool part of your journey too, man. Something about that greater Lansing area.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I mean, it's such a good community of people that we have around here to be able to still see somebody just out and about or at a race, or see if you can hit other people up to go for runs. And that community makes running so special and what it is. You can't do that in other sports. And it's such a huge driving force for me to be able to do different things and try to go to run races with college teammates that are in the middle or things like that. It makes it really special.
Noah, I'm wondering, what is one piece of advice you would offer to the listeners today?
Oh, anything to offer to any listeners? It would just be to stop doubting yourself. If you show up every day and you want to be better, you will over time find a way to get better. And that is not always a linear path. It doesn't just mean because you PR'd by 20 seconds last season, you're going to PR by 20 seconds this season. But if you continue to want to be better and to learn from different people around you, good things are going to happen. So don't sweat all the small stuff. There's always something negative that can happen. There's always a bad race. There's always a bad workout. There's always this amount of worry, but just try and enjoy what you can and soak up knowledge from older teammates if you're on a high school or a college team, and ask questions to your coaches and listen to different stuff. And you can be researched and inquisitive and learn all this stuff, but at the end of the day, you just have to have fun and stay confident in yourself and your ability, and good things can happen no matter who you are.
That's huge, man. I think that's such a personal message, not to doubt yourself. Sometimes you might just throw in a podcast for a listen, and those might just be the words that somebody needs to hear for that day. So thank you for that advice.
I feel like I have a lot of advice and a lot of experience in the sport. And the one thing is, running is so mental, and I'm sure everybody that listens to this would be able to agree. You battle yourself mentally probably more than you do physically. You're always saying, get to that last point before, I have to kick. Survive until here. It hurts now, but keep going and you're going to be okay. You're trying to convince yourself and win that mental battle all day. So don't doubt your ability to keep going and some of that work that you've already put in. Just have a lot of confidence in it. And hopefully, if my message can reach and help one person today, then it was successful. And if it's anything more than that, that's all gravy. But I kind of had that mindset when I was doing the Scrambled Legs podcast is, some people might not care. This might not help anybody, but if every time we are able to talk, if one person hears it and it puts a smile on their face, then it was worth our time to try and put something together today. And because Ben and I were having fun with that when we did it. So I think what you're putting on and doing right now is awesome. And if anybody ever has a question for me, you can DM me on Instagram, you can message me on Strava, you can do whatever you want. And I'm happy to try and answer and give my best answer to you. I just love running and the amount of work that it takes to put into it. I know how difficult it can be. So if you think you're going through something tough, I guarantee somebody else has advice or has gone through something similar to you, and somebody is willing to help you. That's just the kind of community that running has.
Absolutely, man. 100% agree. And I'm sure the listeners today will find that motivation through our conversation and your insights and walk away with an improved mentality. So Noah, it's been great talking with you today. I'm lucky to say that these conversations help me in my own running pursuits. It's great to catch up as always, and just wishing you the best of luck in your future pursuits in the sport, man.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm definitely wishing you the best. I've enjoyed following you this season, Dylan, and checking out your Strava for workouts and your social media channels, but and seeing your race results and how much you care about the sport and trying to better yourself is really a thing that brings me a lot of joy to be able to follow along people that care and want to do better. So thank you for everything that you're doing, not just for social media of running, but for yourself and inspiring young little mid-Michigan kids that, hey, maybe I can run 4:01, maybe I can break 4, maybe I can do something like Dylan and grow a big beard. I don't know, but it's all out there.
Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining us today on the Footnotes podcast. If you found value in today's episode, feel free to share it with someone you know. And don't forget to follow for more mindful content. Until next time, keep growing your mentality with each and every step.